So speaking of shows that passed people's radars and whatnot, let's talk about Upload.
Ooh, upload.
Yeah, I checked it out. Actually, it I didn't binge through the whole thing. Like, watched about 4 episodes, sorry, 5 episodes, then watch the other five another day, basically, right? But if you don't mind, just again, Ashton, just fill the audience in on what Upload is about without spoil, and then we could just kind of share our thoughts on the series. Sorry.
No problem. I have a way. All right. So, okay, this is the overview of Upload. The year is 2033, and there are significant advances, obviously, in technology at this period in time. So, Heaven is owned by 7 companies, but this isn't heaven. Like, this isn't the heaven that we know, heaven, right? But there
Yeah.
are 7 companies that own heaven. Heaven is like a digital afterlife,
Hmm.
right? And you can live in this digital afterlife after you die. You get uploaded onto their servers. Um, and then also getting uploaded on these servers is one thing, but then you also need to have in this timeline, you need to have data. You need to be able to afford data to have good service in the actual in the world, right? In
Yeah.
the uploaded world. So one of the characters, their family has lifetime unlimited data with Verizon Wireless, which I think was really funny because to still stick in Verizon at that point in 2033, so it kind of gives you an idea that maybe these other heavens are run by other telecoms, you
Hmm.
know? Right. And yeah, the show is following a character who gets uploaded, but in his upload, his memory is damaged. And it's about him trying to find back that memory because it comes up as a key thing that's missing from him that he needs to find. I hope I made that interestingly vague enough for you to be like, yeah, you know what, that sounded like that sounds like something I want to see. But
Yeah.
it's a very nice story rolling out, and very it's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. That if 2033 has some of that in technology in store for us, we're in trouble. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, yeah, it does, it does. And just to jump into the review there one time, right? So one thing I really dug about this show here in particular is okay, like just to get out of the way, and this is like a minor gripe, but I know for some people this may either make or break the enjoyment of the whole show, is that they do touch on certain familiar themes within the genre of like the future, right? The this utopian society and all that kind of stuff, and technology and all that kind of stuff, right? So if you remember a movie from the I think it's either 2012 or 2013 called Her, right? Spike Jones made it. I think it's 2013 it came out. Actually, one of the best movies of the decade. If you haven't seen it, please do. But it touched on the whole idea of how people got became so reliant on AI, right? To the point that the lead character, which is played by Joaquin Phoenix, actually fell in love with an AI who is voiced by Scarlett Johansson.
Basically, his Siri.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And this was before Siri became a thing, right? But in this case here, it takes stuff that we already know because, yes, let's face it, we are in a very highly technological age right now. So it just takes the stuff that we know, right? Like the series, the social media platforms, and just different. Oh yes, and more particularly, virtual reality, right? Just the idea of VR headsets because there's a lot of VR headset use in this show, and it just expound on that in like different ways, most of which are very cynical, and kind of dark at the same time, but mostly hilarious at the same time. And that essentially is what the show is about. Just okay, cool. You have this afterlife basically, and I love the setup of it by the way, which is essentially it's like a hotel. So and
Yeah.
all these characters show up, and it's just like, okay, well, this is where we have to spend the rest of our lives. But I also like the fact that they could also communicate with their loved ones. They could actually communicate online, see each other, you know what I mean? So like a Zoom or Skype basically, but just a more high-tech version of it. And I also love the idea that, they have to spend money, you know what I mean? Just similar to a hotel, right? Like a really
In-app
fancy five-star
purchases.
hotel. Yeah, they have to pay for the time that they stay there. And if not, then they're forced to go in another area of the system itself, and that actually, well, they actually explore that in a couple of episodes actually. And I do like how it just brought out some genuinely emotional moments in the show itself, because yeah, I mean, the people who can't pay, their lives are kind of worthless, and they just have to stay there literally, more or less immobile until somebody could pay the money for them to get data and all that kind of stuff. How they
You
showed out
remember
the
what they call
creative.
them, right? 2 gigs.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
two gigs.
Even right down here, like even to call them the 2 gigs is very very smart. A little on the nose, but it's very clever in the way how they kind of create this world, right? So yeah, I mean, props to the world building that they do here, do with this, right? Um, I do like how it's perfectly imperfect, right? There are certain things that you're watching it as like, all right, but this is looking real fake though. But then you understand that's the point. You know that why the leak? There's a leak in particular. The
It's
first time you see it,
supposed to be
it
fake.
looks fake, and it's like, exactly, it's supposed to be fake, right? There's even little things where you're watching like, yeah, this look kind of silly, but think about it. Just from a technological perspective, and just thinking about the fact that yeah, characters had to stay there for well the rest of their lives, right? It's a healthy distraction. That's all I'll say. It looks silly from our eyes, but imagine if you were there and you need to do something to keep your mind fresh. Then yeah, you'd be painting you'd be doing portraits by more or less taking snapshots of the forest or whatnot, and then imposing them over a canvas basically. Like it looks weird when you see it, but logically, like when you think about it kind of makes sense, right? I also dug the VFX for this, the special effects for this. Sometimes it's a little hit or miss, but because we're working with this, artificial reality thing, I think
I
that
know
that
exactly
itself.
what you're talking about. You're talking about the gray zone.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
There's a certain episode involving some called the gray zone. So this is where um characters can go from point A to a specific point to get items and stuff like that, right? But in this gray zone, literally, the characters are involved. You get the characters a bit, right? It's literally like this foggy gray. Well, it's a gray zone basically. That's what it is, right? But
Exactly
when you
that.
look at it, it's clearly a green screen. You could tell. You could tell it's a green screen, right? But because of what they're going for, it's like, yeah, you know what I mean? That's kind of the point of it, right? So, long story short, yes, the show is not working with a big budget, right? Even though they're dealing with technology and you're seeing a lot of technological stuff. You're seeing like smart cars and all that kind of stuff. Although I admit some of these smart cars are kind of fake, but kind of plasticky. But then again, that's kind of the point. You know what I mean? The artificial stuff. So it works, right? Um,
You know what that is, right? That's always like a first season budget.
yeah. But I don't know, like I don't want to say it's Amazon do it. It's Amazon's fault why it looks the way it does. But you know what I mean? Like I don't want to nitpick, the special effects in the show that much. But yeah, there were a few moments early on where it's like, yeah, that look kind of fake. But all that said, right? I dug the characters for this, right? At first, I thought I was going to hate the lead, Nathan Brown, right? He's played by Robbie Amell, aka the brother of Stephen Amell, i.e. Arrow, right? So
Error.
yeah, but I thought that, like, I don't know, like I wasn't sure what I was going to get with the character. If he was going to be this guy who, okay, I look like, he's a handsome guy, but kind of swami. I'm a bit of an asshole, that kind of vibe now. But and he starts off like that at first, right? Like there wasn't anything wrong basically about him. It's just he just kind of got himself in a situation. We're not going to see what happens, but yeah, he gets killed. Well, presumably by accident. That's all we'll say, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he get uploaded, right?
Right. And then he have well, then he has this rich girlfriend, so she gets him uploaded, and well, her father and his mom were like, yeah, screw, let's do it. You know what I mean? They even working a nice little love interesting with one of my favorite characters in the show, Nora Anthony. She's played by Andy Allo. That's her name, yes. And she
Yo,
basically is she works at the company basically that runs this upload afterlife thing, right? So through VR goggles, she's always communicating with other people in the system, right? So she is what they call an angel. So if somebody in the system needs help, they call on whoever's available. So it's
you
like
said
a, you know what I mean? Like it's like a technical assistant basically, right? So yeah, whoever's working at the time, usually it's her because she works in the daytime. They call on her, she shows up, right? And she is genuinely attracted to Nathan. I don't blame her. And Nathan at the same time is attracted to Nora. I don't blame him neither. But at the same time,
yo.
I mean, yeah,
Let's
and
hold
Yellow's
on.
fine.
Let's
Like,
take 1 second here, right? And this is one thing I want to sell in this review.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Even if you hate this show, it worth it just to watch Nora. Because
I
honestly,
know,
it's
right?
yo. Not only is she so beautiful, right? Her character, it's so identifiable.
Yes, it
It's so,
is.
it's yeah, yo. Her character
Um,
is one of my favorites in the show. You're right about that.
Yeah. Especially when they explore her character, right? Because yes, she's working all that kind of stuff, but there's a subplot involving her dad who is well close to dying, right? Actually, I'm not gonna say what he's suffering from, but he believes in the actual the biblical heaven,
Religious.
right? Yeah. So his concept is that he wants to die, normally so he could see his what he could reunite with his wife. And Nora's like, I understand this, but at the same time, you could get to live here in this system, and I could get to communicate with you on a regular basis. Why won't you want that? And you could have a great life here. No worry about it. So I like how they explore that. Also, she has some issues with her love life too. The way there's this Tinder app that they have in the show. So
Nightly.
yeah, so right, that's it. And she's reaching out to certain guys. There's one in particular who, on the one hand, I was like, I don't know if he's playing with her or whatnot, like emotionally, but at the same time, there's a little moment that happens between the two of them where he kind of finds out, slight spoiler, that she likes Nathan, and his reaction to it, though, like, don't want to see what happens, but I probably would not react in that way, Dre, but I respect him for what he did, Dre. Just like, I don't think you really understand the weight of what's going on here, because basically you're saying you're in love with a guy who's dead. Like, come on, you know this not gonna work, right? But because of how likable these two leads
But
are, you
but
kind of want them to link to link up now at a point in time.
but in the show, because of the technology, you could technically hook up with the dead.
That's right. That's right. Similar to her, yes, there are these mechanisms. We're not gonna say what they are, where you could use basically to not just communicate with the dead, but to interact with them physically. That's all
Yeah.
I'll say basically. And they actually have some great moments. One in particular involving Nathan's funeral, which was dark and
Oh, that
real
was
messed up.
horrible. Wow.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, this kind of makes sense. This is how people would react to a guy like him dying. They're like, wait, oh, you're dead? Okay, well, pfft. You know what I mean? Like just the blasé attitude over the fact that he's dead now. That actually was a strong actually was a strong moment in the series, in my opinion. In this season, sorry. This the idea like, oh, you're dead? Okay, well, pfft, whatever. You know what I mean? Like stick with that for a second. That's really interesting. Um, there are some other side characters as well too. There's this kid who at first was annoying the shit out
Dylan.
of her. Dylan, that's his name, but
Yes.
his dilemma actually kind of makes sense emotionally because yeah, he died when he was like what 12 or 13.
He died when he was 11.
11,
And
11.
in years lived in upload, he's 19.
Yeah, but he still has the child body. He still talks like a child, right? And there's
But
one
his,
moment
his
where,
mental is above.
yeah. And there's one moment in particular where he's jealous of his well, once younger brother who's now like what like probably the same age, or I think
He's
it's the same.
18. His
Yeah,
younger
18.
brother was 18, yeah.
Yeah, and he's dating someone. It's like, what the hell, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I dug about the show here as a whole, how it explores the different aspects of death, right? Like what happens afterwards, how people who are still alive will look at you when you're dead, and just with the technological theme of it, right? Just exploring just sorry, not the ups and downs, the good and bad of all this high tech stuff. Like yes, like really when you think about it, it would be great if I could communicate with my with my deceased loved ones, you know what I mean? And I would love to think that, hey, here's a system where all their memories and all that kind of stuff is basically uploaded to this server. That's kind of cool. But
It's
what's the flip
interesting
side
you
to
say
that?
that, right? Because what you just said there, the funeral is a big reveal of how serious that could be if somebody is in terms of you as the uploaded person and a still living person having a relationship.
Yeah. So I dug the cast for this. Didn't think that I would have actually liked Robbie as a lead, but yeah, I mean, and he did work for me, and it was cool seeing him learn things with each episode. Actually kind of coming to terms with what's going on with him being dead now. As far as gripes go, just little minor stuff. Um, I will say it did kind of take a while for me to get into the story. Like I wasn't sure where the story was going. You know what I mean? I wasn't sure of the style of it. Like I thought it was going to be all kind of cynical and stuff like that. But at the same time, also like I thought it was going to be like this, laugh your ass off, show from start to end. But actually, it's not. It's more
It is
of
very much not that because I believe the
yeah,
same thing. I was like, oh, sick, this comedy is going to be amazing. Haha, this is not a comedy, Ashton. This is dark.
yeah. Because I'm watching this, I'm like. I'm not really laughing that much too, but still because of the dramatic weight of what's going on, and yeah, this is where the show shines, right? Where it excels is the dramatic weight of what's going on. Just knowing that that the lives of these characters, for better or for worse, are not going to be the same, right? Even though you have a second chance at life, right? But yeah, other than that though, yeah, I just felt like I thought there was just going to be this laugh out loud thing from start to end, but it really wasn't. Also, some of the jokes, yes, there's some comedy of it. Some of the jokes land, some of them don't really, what I mean? It was kind of hit or miss a bit when it came to the humor, right? Um, Especially in the first half of the season, where I felt like they were just kind of trying to figure out the balance between the humor and the drama, right? I thought that they fixed it for the most part in the second half of it. Also, too, I felt like with the finale, which I don't want to spoil. Yes, I do love where it stops, where you want to know what happens next. But I felt like just certain things were kind of either ignored or just kind of rushed altogether. I felt they could have kind of even things out story wise a bit, right? Especially where character arcs ended, right? But that's just my little nitpicky stuff. But other than that, though, yeah, I think this is a decent show to check out. This is not the best show I've seen. But what I do love about this show and why I actually would recommend you guys see it is it really does have a lot to say about life and death and about technology. Well, the technology in between, right? The ease that we have being able to do things with apps and software and all that kind of stuff. But then the flip side to it, like what if it gets advanced? What's the most extreme version of this? Like, and how will that affect, you know, not just interaction between people, but just living life as a whole, right? Okay, yeah, at the end of the day, the show is kind of like, well, about life itself, you know what I mean? With and without these luxuries, to say the least. It's not perfect. It does have a little pacing issues here or there. Little moments where it's like, okay, is this supposed to be funny? That kind of vibe. But other than that, though, I dug the The direction, I dug the acting, dug the performances. The music actually was pretty dope as well. And yeah, I mean, not much more I could say. This is actually a very intelligent, very well thought out, and kind of really intriguing series though, which more or less fits the times that we're in right now. So if I would give this a rating, strong 3.5 out of 5, man. This is definitely worth checking out. It's on Amazon Prime right now. Only 10 episodes, so if you binge it, it's about 5 hours, I think, roughly, or
Yeah,
4
but
or something like that. Yeah,
yeah, somewhere around there.
yeah, but yeah, right. So by all means, give it a binge if you want to. I really do want to see the show renewed. Or I think it is renewed, but I really do want to see what happens next. I'm not sure how well this pandemic is gonna affect um you know
So,
the
man,
production of TV shows going forward. But yeah, this is one that I hope continues on because yeah, they really onto something here. So what's your last words and rating on Upload?
on upload. Ah, yes, upload. Upload also depends on your sense of humor, which mine it kind of tailored to mine. So I would give it a 4 out of 5 because
Nice, nice,
I
nice.
like that darkness.
Yeah, I like the darkness too.
Yeah. But I think that the subplot in the show also made the show a lot more interesting for me. It made me want to keep watching to see how much closer they got to finding out the truth. And there's
Yeah.
actually the episode I stopped on was actually the episode with his cousin. That's all I'll say.
Oh, that one, that one.
Yes, that one. It was a good episode, guys. Good episode.
Yeah, it was.
But that's the episode I stopped on, and even that episode before the serious end, it had a hilarious moment like right before it, like a super hilarious moment in my eyes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It did, it did.
Yeah. So I like the show. That's definitely a fan. Definitely would love to see more of it as well.
All
Yeah.
right, cool, cool, cool. So, yes, folks, you have something to check out now. We both recommend season one of Upload. So yeah, just based off of what we discussed here, if it's your cup of tea, 'cause I know it's not gonna be for everyone, but yeah, if it's your cup of tea, sorry, yeah, give it a look. All right, so moving on now from one Greg Daniels show to another. Yeah, that's why in particular I wanted to see Upload because it's funny that yes, Greg Daniels also did Space Force, right?
Hmm.
Now this one was on my radar for a while now, ever since the announcement came out, just the teaser came out for this thing, and it was like, oh, from the guys, whoever who brought you The Office. So right there was just like, oh, okay, what is this, right? And then we saw the title Space Force. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but
And
they tell you that, and then they show you the main cast and Steve Carell. So from the
yeah,
guys who
right,
brought
right.
you the office with Steve Carell.
With Steve Carell. That's right. Yeah, I remember when that teaser, talk about the teaser itself, right, was trending, because like, well, what? Okay, we back at it again. Greg and Steve, reunite now. You know what I mean? Because just before we jump into review here, right? Okay, yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, Ashton. Maybe you'll tell me no, whatever. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of The Office. That is one of my favorite TV
I
shows.
love The
Yeah.
Office.
And the funny thing is, I actually was rewatching it before around the time when the either before or around the time when the teaser for Space Force came out, right? I was like, okay, we back at it again, you know what I mean? But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, the Office was is the Office is just a great show. Yes, it did have a rocky start. Like many people would say, the first season is kind of rocky, trying to get itself, you know what I mean, trying to work itself out. But then from there, it was just great season after great season, great character moment after great character moments. I know, of course, Steve Carell. Well, when he was on the show, because I think he left
he did. Yeah,
before the last two seasons, basically. Yeah, him as Michael Scott. You know what I mean? One of my favorite TV characters. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just love that show. Um, Anything I just want to share on The Office?
The Office was. I would. forget about the British office, which was in itself good as well, right? You're just gonna focus on the American one here.
Yeah,
Um, I think it was a good entry into that breaking the fourth wall kind of vibes, you know? Was it fourth
yeah.
wall or fifth wall?
Fourth wall, fourth wall.
Fourth wall, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the breaking of the fourth wall. I love shows like that. Like Modern Family took a cue from it. Parks and Rex did it. Blackish.
Yes, yes.
What's
You
that
don't have to
show?
remember all of them. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I like that. I like that style of TV. So that was one thing about The Office I loved, and then Dwight's character.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know,
Dwight is one of
yeah.
my all-time favorite characters.
I have a funny story about him. I've worked for him once in Canada.
Oh, what? Okay, well,
Yeah,
please
I used to do
explain.
security with a friend, and it was Tiff, and he was there to do that superhero movie he did,
Oh, Super.
Super, right? So
Yeah,
he was doing
which I wasn't the biggest fan of, but
Super was too good, yo.
I kind of got what they were going for. Like,
Yeah,
it was
I fought him
decent,
a
but it
couple
just
times.
kind of missed the mark a bit. But that's just my opinion.
Like you had to separate the Dwight. You love a Dwight from that movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah, indeed.
that's what would have happened with a lot of people. But I was doing security for him. One of my boys hooked me up with a little security job, so I just had to keep people off of him while while he went to his flick, which was yeah pretty cool.
Okay, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
But yeah, that's it. Office is a good show. I think everybody is like at least seen a couple episodes of The Office.
Yeah, or saw some meme. Of course, the iconic
Oh
no,
yeah.
no, no meme. I mean, that's just legendary, right? But yeah,
All
so yeah, go on.
I said all those office related memes and gifs are amazing. What's the accountant's name?
Kevin.
Kevin. Kevin is
Yes, Kevin.
amazing.
Yes.
Kevin memes and Kevin gifs are amazing.
Yes, yeah. Yes, yeah. Yes, yeah. Yeah, so back to Space Force, right? Before I forget, you checked out Space Force or not?
I did check out Space Force. I did. I was actually waiting on Space Force.
Ah, okay. I thought this was one that you sat out for some reason, but I'll do the synopsis first, right? So,
Yeah.
what is Space Force about? It centers on the character of General Ned, who is played by Steve Carell, right? He is basically he did serve with the Air Force, but now he becomes the first chief of space operations at Space Force, right? Assisting him is Dr. Adrian Mallory, who is played by John Malkovich. Yes, he's in the show as well.
John Malkovich, guys. John Malkovich.
Yes, John Malkovich, guys. This is how real this shit is, right? He is a scientist, basically, and he's just the guy who kind of advises him on, well, what to do and what not to do as far as, well, what the show or like what the big thing is about. And this is, well, premise-wise, I mean, it sounds familiar because, yes, they do kind of touch on, well, stuff that's going on right now. It's kind of funny that this show came out roughly around the
Right
same
as the
time where
world
we
is
have,
happening.
the well, the SpaceX launch
Yeah,
that took place over the
that was
past few days.
hilarious that this show came out because that launch got delayed and then the
Yeah,
show came out.
it did. Yeah, so basically the idea is that, well, the president wants boots on the moon by 2022, right? So it's just these guys, right? Well, Space Force itself basically trying to do what they can to make this a reality. So they have all these tests, tests with the rocket, try to get a group of astronauts to head up to the moon and all kind of stuff. And of course, with a show like this, you have, well, competition, right? So in this case, um, there's this threat, like, um, basically Mark assumes that there's some kind of spy feeding information to, well, at first he assumes it's the Russians, and then later on we find out that the Chinese have some ulterior motive, or maybe they do, maybe they don't, that kind of thing going on. And it's just all the shenanigans that going on whilst they're just trying to get boots to the moon, and that's really the gist of the show. At the same time, though, with Mark himself, there's a lot of time actually spent on Mark, right? Which is an issue I have, but I'll explain a bit, right? They can explore his family life. So there's his daughter, Erin, sorry, um, and she just kind of trying to find her place. You know, what I mean, basically in the world. So you know, what I mean, like she's not the most popular girl in school in the high school she attends. So she just kind of gets in and out of just random situations. There's also Mark's wife, who is played by Lisa Kudrow. I haven't seen her in ages, and she's incarcerated for something that well, another gripe, slight spoiler, something that they don't really quite reveal at all. You know what I mean? Like it's always hinted that she did something, but you're not too sure what it was exactly, right? But also in true Office fashion, there are a few other characters involved, right? So we have Dr. Chan, who's one of my favorite characters. He's played by Jimmy O Yang. I thought that he was hilarious in this. We have Angela Ali, who is well, she starts off as a helicopter pilot, but then she wants to be an astronaut. She kind of hooks up with Dr. Chan to learn about, stuff like that. We have another one of my favorite characters, Tony, who is a social media director. He's played by Ben Schwartz. You remember him from Parks and Recreation. And there's some, some military people involved too. Like you would see Noah Emmerich. He plays Kick Grab. He plays General Kick Grabiston. That's his name in the show. You have Jean Lynch. She shows up as well. Patrick Warburton shows up as well. And last but not least, I have to bring this up too. We also see the lead great Fred Willard, who plays Mark's dad. There's actually a few episodes early on, because this is a 10 episode run, where he does show up. There's even one episode where they do a rest in peace, shout out to him as well. I thought that was really nice. And yeah, that's pretty much what Space Force is about. So,
You you
Ashton,
you forgot you forgot Patton Oswalt. He's
yes,
one of the generals as well, and
yes, 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 yes.
he's actually one of my favorite comedians actually.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
It's just because you would see them ever so often. That's why I didn't really want to spend time talking about like everybody in that.
Hmm.
Well, just to talk about that quickly. So it's actually one of very smart references to, well, one of my favorite Stanley Kubrick films, Doctor Strangelove, right? The idea of the war room, right? So you'll have Mark and all the other, military based people. They're kind of discussing what to do. And it's just like with Dr. Strangelove, is all this kind of absurd kind of like reason, like, oh well, maybe if we bomb this country, then they wouldn't take our secrets. Is that kind of vibe going on there? Also the character of, well, Adrian Mallory himself. He pretty much is Dr. Strangelove, this kind of weird, well, weird in the sense that he seems to know way more than he gives off there. But yeah, he is very smart. But there is something about him, right? And there's actually a nice reveal that actually was one of the funniest moments in the show. That's all I'll say without spoiling it, right? But yeah, he is just that guy who pretty much has to talk sense or knock sense basically into the heads of pretty much these soldiers who just think that everything is about competition. It's a war basically, but it's just really about who's gonna put their feet or boots, if you will, on the moon first, right? And that's the one thing that I love about the show. Before you get to your thoughts, right? The idea of, well, the military versus science, right? You know what I mean? Scientists will say this is what you should do, and military is like, no, no, no. You know what I mean? The president wants us to get this done now, and you know what I mean? It's just the back and forth between those two dynamics that I really love about the show. But yeah, what were your honest thoughts on Space Force?
Love Space Force. One of the things I love about Space Force is how it shows you the TV counterparts of real life people,
Ah, yeah, yeah.
right? And they do that with political people. That's all I'll say. And they
Mm-hmm.
don't spare one side for the other, which I appreciated in the show. Because I mean, you come on with Space Force after Trump says something about space and he wanted to go to space, and the show comes out now. So you don't want people to think it's anything politically based or anything. The show
Yeah.
is just as Matthew said, science versus the military, and all these guys will blatantly watch somebody and just be like, no, we're not gonna do this correct thing you're saying. We're gonna go and do this, and the consequences of those actions after.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Schwartz's character, Ben Schwartzman's character, is my favorite in the show. However, you know,
That's
I
surprise.
love
That's
him.
surprise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love him. He's such a little wiry guy. You know, he's hilarious. I always thought he was hilarious. The
Right.
show kind of gets slow in the middle a little bit, and you're really left lingering, wondering what happened, like with the wife. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the only thing I didn't like because I would have wanted some more context on that. And
Right.
I find that the daughter's character is annoying to me.
I thought I was the only one who was annoyed by her.
No, she is
Cause,
annoying.
cause she. All right. So without spoiling anything, okay. Like I understand the character, I understand the nature of the character. She wants to find a way. You know what I mean? Her mom's incarcerated, so she doesn't really find that much reason to rely on her dad. But at the same time, she would just do some of the dumbest things imaginable, and you're just left wondering why though? Is it for attention, or you just want to you just want to you
You
know
just want to be dumb.
spark something in your life now. You want to live on the edge, but you don't know how to do it. Basically, that kind of vibe. Because I got that impression. I didn't get like, oh, I'm just gonna put myself in a situation. I'm gonna beg for help. But more like, okay, I just want something to do. So here's this thing. I'm gonna do it. And oh, I'm in trouble. Not all the time, but there's a moment. I was like, oh, help me. You know, I mean that kind of vibe. But still, it's like, why though? Why? You're that bored? Come on.
Boy, that's it. Like that
Yeah,
character didn't do it for me. Um, there was the rocket fuel episode, which was really funny because
it
of the
was.
character that was introduced in that. I don't want to give away too much, so I'm being, as I said, being specifically vague.
Yeah,
Right?
but it's a reference to a real life person. That's all you need to know. That's all you
You
need
will
to know.
get it if you're current on this kind of stuff. You're gonna get it immediately. Immediately, you'll get it.
Hmm.
And more to Steve Carell's character, he is the most exaggerated version of what a military man who follows the code could be. That's what his
Yes,
character is.
yes. Hmm.
Everything for him is by the book, this and that. So it was interesting. It's interesting to see him as a quote unquote single parent in the show as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, good show, good show. Greg Daniels is killing it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So let me just get the gripes out of the way, because yes, there are quite a few, right? And as usual, I know for some people this may make or break the enjoyment of the show, right? But that's up to y'all. Um, okay, so this is the major one, like the one that people will cite on the most, right? Just letting y'all know to the way, no, this is not The Office. And I love the fact that it's not trying to be The Office, right? However, when a title called Space Force, this is just a great mind, yeah? I did find that there was a lot of emphasis placed on Steve Carell's character. Mainly the stuff behind the scenes, the stuff with his daughter and all that kind of stuff. Not saying that it shouldn't have been there, but I just felt that there was just a lot of time emphasizing, the rough relationship he's having with his daughter, and this thing with his wife, and there's even an episode basically where she's saying that it's kind of unhealthy for them to maintain a relationship even though she's in jail and he's not, and it's like it just kind of drags down what the show is really about, right? And this which is mainly all the shenanigans that takes place in Space Force, and that to me is what I paid to see now, you know what I mean? um Also, I felt like with Space Force itself, right? Or at least the people outside of Steve Carell and John Malkovich, they could have spent a little bit more time fleshing out their characters, like similar to like The Office in a sense, where yes, I know early on, and a lot of people will be the comparison with this with with season one of The Office, where yes, you get a feel of what's going on, but it's still rough around the edges. And I got that same vibe here where it's just kind of trying to figure out, oh, what we're trying to be. You know what I mean? Is it a comedy drama? Is it a straight up sitcom? Is it a flat out sci fi comedy? What are we going for? And they try to do all three, and you could kind of see the tunes shift ever so often, right? But I just felt like when it came to side characters, like we could have seen more of Chan and Angela. Like I actually did like the little relationship that he had in the second half of the season. I love the setup of it too. Well, early on, which is where they kind of don't want to see what happens, but he's accused of something, and then he brings up a certain point, something that he's fascinated by, right? And that was like a nice little setup into, Chan's relationship, right? But even that and all, they didn't really explore that much. I thought they could have spent a little time on Angela herself. Why she would want to be an astronaut all of a sudden. Um, and there's even actually like a blink and you miss it moment where you kind of realize, oh, she's the first black female astronaut to be in this thing, to be on this mission in the first place, right? And I thought that that was something so strong, that it's something that they really could have explored, like her character, basically, right? But it was just mostly about Mark, and ever so often Adrian. Like I thought they would have explored Adrian just a little bit, but it was just mostly Steve's character. And what I love about Steve's character himself is that he's not Michael Scott, nor is he trying to be. He is this wannabe, hard-edged, military guy who thinks that he has to be this way to be recognized, to be acknowledged, right? To be respected. And it's like, no, you're in a different territory now. Not to say that you're not qualified to be a part of this, but you're here now and you have to kind of listen to reason. You have to kind of do that. But at the same time, it's like, no, this is what we need to do because POTUS, and we need to get, boots on the moon and all that kind of stuff. So it's this drive that pushes him to kind of make some really, really bad calls. One of which, well, what was one of my favorite episodes, by? Um, actually thought that the second episode was incredibly, incredibly hilarious, right? Because of the scenario involved and how they decide to solve that problem. I thought was just genius, and I thought that the show was going to lean towards that. Like, oh, we're trying to do space stuff, but this didn't work out. You know what I mean? I thought it was going to be about that, but then ever so often they would drift off to what's going on in Mark's life and that kind of stuff. I thought that kind of dragged things out. But other than that, though, I was actually impressed by the season here. I dug the, well, I mean, this is a very well made show, well directed cinematography. You could tell they actually spend cash in this, not just because you have John Malkovich, but yeah, they actually spend some bucks on this thread. The visual
Netflix
effects,
budget.
yeah, Netflix budget. Yeah, you know what I mean. Visual effects look really dope. The acting across the board was great. Dug the hell out of Steve Carell, John Malkovich, Hammer Goin. I just love the sarcasm of his character. And because it's Malkovich, you kind of know how he's going to deliver his lines. So there's a reveal of his character, and just the way how they did it was so funny. That he made one of the most hilarious moments. But at the same time, it's just kind of sweet and genuine when you think about it too. But it worked. Um, I did feel like the last few episodes started to lose a little bit of focus, but mostly you got the point of what they're going for, right? And that's what I said before with military versus science. That's really what the joke is about. So no, folks, it's not the office. If you go in expecting the office, you'll be very very disappointed. Yeah, but at the same time, just like the office season one, let's admit it, it kind of has to figure itself out a bit. Has to figure out its own identity in order to move forward. Because yeah, I think the show is definitely onto something. It's not just some throwaway show that it's just a waste of time. Like for some people, you might look at it and be like, it's not The Office or whatever. Oh yes, and last gripe too. I felt like sometimes, not all the times, the jokes kind of miss. It's another one of those scenarios, guys. One of those hit or miss moments in as far as humor goes. But when the humor hits, though, it really really hits. But when it misses, yeah, it kind of misses, unfortunately, right? But all that just chalk up to first season jitters. That's all I'll say. But I really do hope that not only do we get a second season, but that they figure itself out. Because I just think that Greg Daniels and Steve Carell and the team involved, they onto something here. They really onto something here. So just last words and rating on this. I dug this. It's not the funniest laugh out loud thing you will see all year, but as far as a promising show goes, yeah, this is quite promising, man. And I do see this, having more seasons and having more laughs, more great moments, even the dramatic moments. Because yes, there is emphasis on drama too. It's not just comedy and stuff all the time, right? Even those moments work as well. You know what I mean? Even though they kind of touch zero in a little too much on a character or on Mark's character, no. But still, just that blend of comedy and drama and spacey stuff. Yeah, they're onto something here, man. So I'm really curious to see what they do next year. And I recommend if you're a fan of, or if you're just intrigued by it, if it just looks good to you, give it a look. But if you're really expecting The Office, you'll be disappointed by this. So rating wise, I'll give this a strong 3.5 to a light 4. So yes, it's like a half a star more than what I gave Upload before. Yes, it's from the same guy. Just remind you all. But yeah, I mean Greg Daniels, well, clearly on a roll here, man. I mean, 2 shows here with promising stats. And yeah, just can't wait to see what he delivers with the second seasons of both shows. So last words and rating, Ashton.
Yes. So I rate this show a 3, right? And the reason for that is a little bit of disappointment that you kind of touched on now, which was the over going into Mark's life. There was a little too much of that for me, um, because I was expecting something. As you said, you had to temper your expectations, but I was expecting something different because I was thinking it was coming to compete with shows like Orville and Avenue 5,
Right, right,
but
right.
more in the starting phases because Orville is way advanced in technology, and so is Avenue 5. But I was expecting something like that. But I find Mark's life was too like dead air to me. That was like
Yeah,
dead air, right? But other than that, I find the show solid. John Malkovich's chemistry with him is amazing. I would love to see more Patrick Warburton though. I really wish
I
he had.
know, right?
Yeah, I wish he was Kit Gravison. You
Yeah,
know?
like the moments with him too. I was laughing at because basically he's the rival to Mark throughout the
Yeah.
show. Yeah,
And Patrick Warburton could say anything and make it sound hilarious.
I know, right? He
Yes.
just that
So
baritone in his voice, right?
yeah, the cast in this show is also really good, really really good. So yeah, but I give it a 3 just based off of what I was expecting versus what I got.
All right,
Does,
nice, nice, nice.
does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, man. Yeah.
Right.